Hey pupils, this is Sharmila Kaushik, and if you're watching this, you are the learning kind. This is brought to you by Perpetual Pupil, experts at learning and development, currently focused on bringing new perspectives to education. We have a very exciting guest today, Mrs. Veni Sukumar. So, ma'am, we did actually speak about all of the things that English language and language has, the status that it brings. How people are also really stressed in trying to learn these fancy vocabularies and new big words to use professionally and socially. How important do you think vocabulary is really for comprehension or for the overall learning of the language?
See, if to put it in a nutshell, I would say vocabulary is what of the language, and communication or comprehension is how of the language. So now, are you going to speak in such a way that the person who's listening to you doesn't even understand? Is it about you showing your proficiency in the language, or is it about you making yourself, understood? So nobody expects you unless you are asked to write a creative writing, using the figurative language. You don't have to, as long as you write in correct English, you use simple words, that's more than enough. More than enough. So I would even say, instead of comprehension, let's use the word understanding.
Yeah, understanding, yeah.
Isn't it? So it doesn't mean that, yes, of course, when you're in a literary circle, you're going to a literary circle, you're sitting amongst, you're going for a literary fair. Such places, okay, because that's where language is appreciated, and so you can use you and show your language proficiency. But in an ordinary conversation, you don't have to prove your language proficient, isn't it? So if you speak in such a way that the opposite person doesn't even understand,
and then it's of no use. The purpose is lost.
Yes. Well, there was this thing, this twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Yeah.
Itself is asked, if you have to speak in a very confusing language, it is, what is it? Scintillate, asteroid mini, I believe. So who is going to understand that twinkle, twinkle, little star?
Yeah, in Three Idiots, there's this scene where he asks, what is this? And he says, book. And he says, that's all. And sits him down. Then he sends him out. And then he asks, what is it? And he sees some super complicated technical terms he uses. And he's like, you could have just said book. I tried it earlier, sir. It didn't work with you, he says. So, similar.
So in conversation, it is not needed that we have to prove our language proficiency. But when you are in it, it depends on where you are and what is the situation where you have to speak. Suppose you have to give a formal speech, then it's good sense that you use good vocabulary. Otherwise, communication is use the language which is understood by the others.
Yeah, ma'am. English has become so important. It has also become a status symbol now. The proficiency of English you speak has become something to show as a certificate of the social status. How do you feel about that?
I mean, if you start speaking like a certain gentleman, then it becomes a social status. But then if you're able to communicate, it has become a common language for communication.
Yeah.
So people are speaking, but I don't think you have to speak in English with your relatives, with your friends who speak the same language. I think you can still speak in your mother tongues. But then this has become easy because, as I said, the younger generation have been bilingual right from birth. So English comes naturally for them. It's not like they're showing off or anything. Now, even if you look at our house help, the support staff who come to our house, they add a lot of English words in their speech.
Yeah, correct.
Late agoitu. They talk so much, because English has become so common now.
Ubiquitous.
It is.
I knew a big word.
It has gotten into all the languages, and we say English is the only living language, and it keeps taking words from the other languages and keeps adding to its repertoire.
It just grows.
Ayu is a word in English. You can check in Oxford Dictionary.
Really?
Yes, ayu is an English word.
Wow. Even chutney is.
Yes, and so many words. See, you have this catamaran. I'm sure you would remember your Sarojini Naidu's poem.
Yes.
Coromandel fishes. In that you have set our catamarans free. Catamaran is a Tamil word, kattumaram. It's made of bamboo.
Oh.
So that has been taken. Then you have veranda. Then you have jungle. These are all Indian words which have gone into English. The same way it has taken words from French, it has taken words
Yeah,
from Germany.
German.
So many other languages it
Yeah.
has taken. So, and it keeps growing.
Correct.
So this is the only language which keeps growing.
Correct.
So many words. Anna is a word now in English. Yes, it
Like
means
brother.
elder brother. Yes, you check if you look at
Wow.
Oxford Dictionary, that word is there now.
That's
Every year a couple of vernacular words are added into English,
okay.
and these words have gotten into Oxford.
Wow, English is getting so big. It's encompassing every, and I can see the depth of knowledge you have of all of these different cultures and the sources from which they get these words, their etymology. Do you think it comes from you being a translator?
It comes from being an introvert. Because you don't speak too much, you tend to read a lot. Because you have to hide from people, right?
Oh.
That's the only way you can escape from people. Oh, she's reading.
Reading.
Okay, so I had this liking for language right from childhood. And my father had started, when I was in grade 1 itself, he started buying those Amar Chitra Kathas.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something he wanted me to come out, overcome my shyness and, be able to talk, because I would never talk to anybody. So this I started reading. So they were all Indian stories. In Amar Chitra Katha, all are Indian stories,
yeah.
Indian mythology, Indian history. So, okay, what is the story like in its original language? So that was how I became interested in different languages. And when I grew up, I studied in Andhra Pradesh. So Telugu, we had lovely Telugu, literature we had. And we used to get the story books because it was a small town. We didn't have places like malls and all for us to go. So our time pass was reading storybooks. So each one would buy one magazine. We would share.
So
because
nice.
We can't buy, all of us can't buy all magazines. So we used to read. We used to have these famous authors at that time. So those used to come as serialized stories. We would read. And so naturally that flair, okay, if it is like this in this language, how is it in another language? That interest was there for me to learn the languages. So that was how I was able to learn, that liking for learning the languages made me learn all.
Yeah, it's really nice actually. And you being from so many of these states, having such a close relationship to them, you know the culture.
Yes.
You understand the culture. How important is knowing the culture in knowing the language?
We need to know, because certain things what we say in our mother tongues, we cannot say it in the same way in English.
Yeah, you can't.
We have a separate word for singular, separate word for plural in our mother tongues.
Yeah.
We say Ninu and we say Nivu.
Correct.
Whereas it is you in English.
For everything. Yeah.
So what do we say? Nimma, aapka shubh naam kya hai? And we say, so we literally transliterate it into English and say, what is your good name? It's not the correct
incorrect.
English.
Correct, yeah.
What is your name? But we think that we are not giving respect to that person by saying what is your name. So we say, what is your good name? Good self.
Good self.
So these things, so we the problem is, when you are speaking in another language, don't put your culture into that language. Speak the way it has to be spoken.
Yeah, it has a certain meaning in its own language.
Yes. So we have this co-brother, co-sister. These are all Indian English, which is not there in actual English. It's just one
co-brother
word,
is not a word.
brother-in-law, sister-in-law. That's all. Whether she's your Vorgati, whether she's your Nadni, it is one word. It is sister-in-law.
Oh my God, we use it so commonly.
Yes.
Co-brother, co-sister.
Yes. I have stopped correcting people now because I know there's no point. How many will I correct?
Maybe one day it'll become a word actually.
It might, because earlier it used to be sisters-in-law, brothers-in-law.
Yeah.
Plural. Now sister-in-laws is accepted.
Oh.
So grammar itself is changing. So how can I stick on with Ren and Martin and say, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong. Grammar is changing, so you have to change with it.
True, yeah.
So culture also, we should be mindful of the culture that we belong to. We don't have to give up our culture to learn another language. We have to see how we can instill our culture into that, but at the same time not let go of the grammar of that language.
In a language as I don't know, growing and as alive as English, I think I've always kind of separated grammar and technical language from the literature. I've always thought of literature as a humanities subject, or having so much context to it, and having, the ability to be analyzed. Whereas language is a skill, as a technical thing to understand literature. But now that you've said that grammar grows too, it is also something living. I've questioned that
No,
perception of
grammar
mine.
is needed to know the language. No, whether you want to learn literature, literature comes later.
Yeah,
Once you learn the language, you appreciate the literature.
correct. Yeah,
When you don't know grammar, when you don't know the syntax, when you don't know how a sentence is structured, how will you appreciate the language, literature?
true.
How will you know that a prose is different from a poetry?
Yeah,
The sentence formation is different.
different.
So unless you know grammar, you know that you have to follow subject, verb, object, and then you have, that is the way a sentence has to be written in prose. And in poem, you can go inversion. You
Correct.
can go the other way around,
Yeah,
isn't it? So language grammar is necessary. So what happens usually in English classes, I have observed, is, with due respects to all English teachers, when they take a lesson, they go on and on and on trying to tell the story of that lesson. Story will be understood by the child when he or she reads the lesson. You teach the language structure in that lesson. Teach what grammar is there.
Yeah.
Teach what figures of speech you find.
Yeah.
Teach what how the author has used adjectives, adverbs. You have to teach grammar, language through that lesson. That lesson is only a tool for you to teach the language. It's not. So if somebody is teaching maybe about an adaptation of some Rabindranath Tagore's story, that what is that, Kabuliwala. It's not about how Minnie grew up and how Kabuliwala saw Minnie as his child.
Yeah.
You have to teach. You have to see how Rabindranath Tagore has written the language. You have to see the sentence structure. You have to see how many he has used how he has used the adjectives, how he has used the figures of speech while describing.
Yeah.
So those things have to be taught to the children in the class. Not tell the story again and again and again, and it happens. The teacher reads the story. The teacher makes each child read the story and then makes them tell the story. But she doesn't correct the child when she goes wrong in the way she narrates the story.
Yeah.
So she should see whether the child is able to speak in the correct English,
or in the English relevant to the context of the time period of that lesson.
Yes,
maybe.
So when there are new words, teach them the synonyms and ask them what could be the antonym. Is there an opposite for this word? That is how a lesson has to be taught. Lesson is only a tool. That's not the end. See, suppose you're teaching a science topic, that you have to teach that topic to them. But here in English, it's not the topic that you're teaching language through that topic.
Correct.
So our English textbooks, we can have our cultural lesson. Why should we learn about some other author whom we don't even know, or some other period of some other country? We can have so many of our books which can be translated to English. See, the purpose is you have to teach the language. You can teach through your culture itself.
Yeah.
There are so many Tenali Rama stories with children of lower grades can enjoy.
Is that a way?
Premchand story you can translate and do. Yeah. There are so many like that.
Is there a way to maybe integrate? Is that one of the ways to maybe integrate culture and the social context of this stories into lessons?
Now schools, slowly the education board, they are integrating all other books. Stories of other religions, and also from Commonwealth countries, from African countries, because Africa, we have learned it as a dark continent, but that's also has got rich literature.
Yeah, Achibe.
Yes. Yeah. So now they have become, earlier English used to mean only British, not even American. American came later, and then now they started Australian. So now they are integrating everything. That way we get to know all cultures.
Do you think that's an important?
It is important for us to know all the cultures so that we respect all the cultures.
Okay.
So when you know all the cultures, you will respect all the cultures. And I'm sure there won't be this much of, now whatever we are facing nowadays, that much of intolerance might not be there.
Intolerance towards culture, that's very interesting.
There. Intolerance towards language, intolerance towards religion, region.
Correct. Yeah.
Now you can't say anything. You are scared to speak. Now it has come to such an extent. See, I was this morning I was reading in the newspaper. I saw a small bit. director, what's his name? Rohit Shetty.
Yeah. Rohit Shetty, I know, yes.
His latest movie has come, no? So he was talking about some movie.
Singham Returns.
Okay. He was talking about another movie, Golmaal. Okay, my
Golmaal,
son was a crazy fan of
Okay.
those movies. So in that movie, there's an actor who stammers a lot. He was able to show that at that point of time. But he said that, and in this context, present day context, I cannot show a character like that because I'll be trolled.
Yeah, because it's
Because
politically
I'm making
incorrect.
I'm making fun of a person's disability.
Yeah.
People start looking at it like that. They don't look at it as just a
Humor.
comic humor.
Yeah. Correct. True.
So now, even to speak to somebody, you have to think twice, and you have to always be mindful when you're speaking. You cannot joke about anything. Earlier, when we were kids, we would joke about so many things and get away with it. But now,
Yeah, even
you're very
specially abled is a term which is
Yeah,
proper.
now euphemism is life.
Euphemism.
Yes. You can't call somebody fat.
Fat, yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
It'll be called body shaming.
Yes. So the euphemistic word is horizontally challenged. Very true. No, I'm not joking. It's vertically challenged for a dwarf. He's
Oh my
vertically
God.
challenged. So you have to speak in that manner. For which I'm sure you have to learn English.
I'm sure you have to cut this out of the. No, but yeah, that's hilarious. And cultural knowledge of the culture, knowledge of the context, of the political context, social context is a very important thing to understand a culture, and specifically to understand a culture through their literary works. I think there have been many literary critics also kind of box away works from different countries as, this must have these qualities, this should have these qualities, and we segregate them. Do you think that's a logical thing to do, or is it
It's
possible?
not a logical thing. It's their thought. Even now, many countries think that tigers roam in India, in the streets in India.
Yeah.
Elephants roam.
Yeah, and we're all snake charmers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even now, there are places, remote places in other countries who still think in that way. And they're surprised to see that Indians can speak English very well. So, it's just the preconceived idea people have. And we always think, no, the Australians are very brash. These are all just misnomers. Not everyone is that. You can't box them like that. Every culture has got its own richness. Let's look at the richness and appreciate each culture, rather than stamping them with certain characteristics.
Yeah, and you mentioned that we can use works from all around the world to bring awareness of cultures, to bring mindfulness towards what are the what would you say are some of the other steps we could take in the classroom to bring about awareness and mindfulness towards the social contexts of things?
See, our country, it's very easy because we are a multilingual country, we are a multi-religious country, and our class is always a heterogeneous class.
Yes.
You don't have a class where you have only a certain type of people in the
Correct.
You
Never.
have all languages, you have all religions, all regions. Now people from all regions also
come. Yes.
So you should speak in such a way that you are appreciating every culture. See, there are similarities in almost all the cultures. Let's appreciate that rather than looking at the differences and rather than pinpointing the differences. Okay, learn the difference, but appreciate when the teacher. But for that, the teacher should know everything. So that is why the role of teacher is very important in the present generation, because she cannot have biases.
Yeah.
She should respect all the cultures, all the religions, all the languages. And so she should be able to bring out the best of everything. Then the children will also appreciate.
Yeah, very interesting.
And we should stop and at home, stop discussing unnecessary things. Now these forwards that we get, glorifying somebody or criticizing somebody, all that, discussing that at home. And these tender minds, they're swayed. They think that, okay, what my parents are discussing must be the right one.
Okay.
So, is it necessary, all these things? These things are actually spoiling the richness of the culture. When we didn't have social media, I think people were very tolerant with one another.
Yeah, they were.
We have also grown in a diverse classroom. We never had any problem. We used to celebrate every festival.
Yeah.
Our friends of different religions used to get things and we all used to have fun. It was never, that, oh, today is my festival. No, this, that. We didn't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So, as I said, teacher is to be very tolerant and she should speak in such a way that children feel that, okay, all are one and same. We are not different. We speak different languages. We wear different dresses, don't we, in the same way. But at the end of the day, we are all human beings. So that is what we need to make them understand.
Yeah. I think at some point, we stop noticing the amount of influence culture and society and politics has on us and our language. We stop reading that much. How, ma'am, would you encourage students to learn consistently and be learners forever, for as long as they're here, and become perpetual pupils?
We are learning every day. Every day is a learning for us. See, we might be learning through books. We might be learning through listening. We might be learning through seeing. So, actually, a lot of the media has to be very. If you want a country to flourish, if you want its future generation to be great, you should also the media should be very careful. See, you can't keep, one news channel will be talking about one point of view, the other news channel talks the opposite of the same point of view.
Yeah.
So which one will you take? Isn't it? So we have to think.
Yeah. There are areas where you have to keep learning.
Yes. So learning happens every day, and learning only when you develop an interest. And who makes you develop that interest? It's your parents and it's your teachers. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So now if I go to the class and say, do you know this story? It's so interesting. Then child will be interested in reading a story. Isn't it? You narrate a story halfway, stop it at an interesting point and tell them, read the story incompleted. They will go and read it. Now, when you are not a reader, you will not be able to tell that.
Correct.
So at home, parents, instead of sitting and looking at their mobile phones, why not all of them read together?
True. Good idea.
Because when you read, automatically the language will improve.
True, yes. I think reading is a practice we can keep up to be perpetual learners.
Perpetual learner. Reading, listening to good, nowadays present generation has got very less attention span.
I was about to say that.
Because for them everything is bombarded, everything is visual for them.
Yeah.
So and for them everything comes to them as bits. So you also have to teach to them in that way. You can't give them a big essay and ask them to read. They will not be interested. Chunk it into small bits and give them as bullet points. They will read and they will come out. So you have to teach in that way for them. You can't be teaching the way you learnt. That's why if you look at the question papers also, it's changed. They no longer you are expected to write essay answers. Everything is MCQs.
Yeah, that's actually something so new to me, because recently I have a long metro ride back home, so I tried to read an actual book, and I tried to read Hardy, one of Hardy's books. I have read one or two of his books. I've read similar books, a lot of them before, and I couldn't get through 3 pages. I got distracted every 30 seconds. I would look somewhere else, try to look at my phone, and it's not a pattern anymore. I can't, and I think I've lost that skill of sitting down and flipping through pages and pages and having the patience to do that. I was able to read the same book 3-4 times. That's the amount of patience I had before I got a phone in my hand.
Exactly the same thing. When we didn't have a phone, we never worried about it. Now I'm worried how many messages would have come in my phone. I'm talking about my generation where there was no phone at that time.
Yeah.
We didn't have a problem. But now I'm worried how many messages, how many WhatsApp messages will be there, who would have called.
Oh.
And if I forget the phone at home, I'm jittery.
Jittery, yes.
We have come to that level now. We are so dependent on this thing.
My phone is practically my appendage. I can't go anywhere without it.
So to teach the present generation, you have to chunk it in small bits, use technology. You can't always go back to our time of giving them write the
Yeah.
essay about so and so, so and so. Give them ask.
So even assessment patterns are changing.
Changed. Yes, more of MCQs, more of true or false. If you look at all your entrance tests, are they all that?
MCQs. Yes.
Nowhere they ask you to write the character
Yes.
sketch of so and so person,
Yeah.
unless you are a literature student.
When I applied for college, it was I had to write who is the one person dead or alive you take inspiration from, and I wrote Julius Caesar.
Okay.
There's no chance if you ask me the same question right now, I'd say the same thing. I'd probably say some celebrity I saw on the reel 5 minutes ago.
No, I won't say that it is reducing, because even if it is quick way, it's all in a one of everything is interlinked, so they'll be able to do that. But the teacher's work has increased because she should keep up with the pace. Now she has learned in a different generation about something, and she has to teach to a different generation.
Correct.
So she has to teach in a manner which is understood by that generation. She can't come to the class and it's not an outpouring of knowledge of what she has. It should be transfer of knowledge what she has to the other. So it is not about teacher, it is about the student in the class. So if I have to make my children interested in my class, I have better learn what they like.
How can you do that, ma'am? What
Why
are
not?
learning
See, if
opportunities?
I have to give an example, probably if I give an example from Mahabharata, nobody might listen.
Yeah.
Now, if I give them an Avenger example, everybody is interested.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody is interested in listening to that because they are able to connect. So that connectivity, only if you are able to connect with children, you can transfer the knowledge. Any subject for that matter. It's not just the language.
Okay. So what are some of the learning opportunities for that teachers should be looking
So
for?
teacher, there has to be continuous professional development. So if the education system is changing, then the teachers have to first be trained, and then only the system has to change. Now you can't change the entire system and then say, okay, go for professional development courses and then come and teach. It is not possible. Give them time to learn.
Yeah.
So if you're planning to change your entire system of teaching, give them that time. But they should be ready. A teacher who joins should not think that I have finished my education, now I am to only teach. No, she has to be a learner.
Many a times I've noticed.
Continuously, only if you learn, you will be able to be at par with the education system. So main thing now, technology.
Yes.
Every teacher, probably if a person has to become a teacher, she has to undergo not just a week or a 10-day training. It has to be a continuous training. Probably one period a day, every day she has to undergo technical training.
Oh, okay.
Because there's so much every day. The board has become smart board now.
Mm-hmm.
You touch, things change. So she should know all that. No? If she has to teach to the generation which already knows that.
Yeah, correct.
So that, and her subject itself. She has to continuously upgrade herself in her subject. She can't be talking about what she learned 20 years ago. She should know what changes have come in her subject. She should be updated with that. She should know who the latest writers are. She can't keep talking only about Shakespeare.
Correct.
She should know the present generation. She should see. Somebody was, people were saying that this, what is it? Game of Thrones book is very, interesting. Is what generation says. My generation used to say, it is very gory. It is very, you can't read it and all. But then my nephew told me, just read it and you see the beauty of the language. Really, I enjoyed the beauty of the language.
True.
The way the writer has written the way the language is flowing in there. So you can't say that only my generation books are good. So she has to update herself with the knowledge, with the current scenario of books or writers. If I'm talking about the language teacher, then she should know the modern language.
Yeah.
When children talk something, she should be able to do that. But as training, I would say technology and subject-oriented training is required, and interpersonal training, stress management training, because the present generation teachers are under a lot of stress. Physical, mental, emotional, social, so many stresses are there. So such all trainings they have to. And it should be a continuous training. It does not be conducted at the beginning of the year. Teachers have to undergo certain hours of training before the school starts. We will do it. After that, forget.
Yeah.
That should not happen. It has to and peer training. See, a senior teacher can handhold the juniors.
Correct. Yeah.
Those are informal
Peer-to-peer
trainings.
learning.
Peer-to-peer learning. and also, somebody can handle mentoring. That can happen. A seasoned teacher can mentor the juniors.
Yeah.
She should not think that I am the senior,
Yeah.
so you better respect me. No, you try to help them. Somebody helped us become the mentors, no?
Yeah.
So it is our turn to help somebody else to become the good teachers. So these are all the way the teacher can, I would say, you love teaching, you don't become a teacher. If you don't love teaching, don't become a teacher.
Yeah, your mantra. Learn what you love and love what you learn.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah, I would say that learning, as you said, perpetual pupil, learning is also perpetual. You start learning from the moment you're born, and the learning continues throughout your life. So let's be learners, learn from everything that we see around, read, and and imbibe the good out of that. I'm sure we will all be very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until next time, don't stop learning.
The sort of